In my former class, I was describing the law of independent assortment of Mendel. Here I said the statement of the law and the relevant illustration. Now let me repeat. This law of independent assortment. This law states that factors responsible for two or more pairs of contrasting characters in a hybrid are assorted independent of one another during gamete formation. This can also be said as the law states that the factors of two or more pairs of contrasting characters in a hybrid, each pair of factors asserts independently of other pairs of factors during gamete formation. Now, I have explained this law with one of the experiments of Mendel called dihybrid cross. Now, in a dihybrid cross where two pairs of contrasting characters are involved, these two characters segregated in the ratio 9:3:3:1 among the F2 progeny. Now, based on these results, Mendel formulated the law of independent assortment. As in the previous, he conducted what are called test crosses to further confirm this law. Now, he conducted here dihybrid test cross. In one of his dihybrid test cross, he selected F1 dihybrid offspring and pure or homozygous recessive parental type of individual. Now, we shall mention here the phenotypes and genotypes of these two plants. Now, here the two characters that are being studied are the earlier two characters, that is, the shape of the seeds and the color of the seeds produced by the plant. Now this is F1 or dihybrid offspring, which is round and yellow, having the genotype capital R, capital Y, small y. So this is the phenotype and genotype of the F1 dihybrid offspring produced in the F1 generation of the dihybrid cross. Now the another plant here is pure recessive parental type, that is wrinkled green plant. Both the characters are recessive. Now here genotypes are small r, small y, small y. Now these are the two plants crossed, and this is a dihybrid test cross. Now when such dihybrid test cross is conducted, what type of progeny is produced in the next generation, and what is the combination of characters and their proportion of segregation. Now this plant produces 4 different types of gametes. Now this is according to law of independent assortment. Now the 4 different types of gametes are: 1, capital R, capital Y, capital R, small y, small r, capital Y, and small r, small y. Now these are the 4 different types of gametes are being produced by this individual when the 2 pairs of contrasting factors or alleles, each pair separates or assorts independent of the other pair. As a result, this offspring will produce 4 different types of gametes in equal proportion. Now the gametes produced by this parent, this plant, because this is homozygous, this produces only one type of gametes. All the gametes produced here, they are homogeneous because it is a homozygous individual. Now when these 4 different types of gametes, when they are fertilized by the only type of the gamete produced by the other parent, we get the next generation. So this is the F2 progeny, because this is F1 generation individual, so this is F2 generation, and the individuals produced in this F2 generation are the following: capital R, small r, capital Y, small y. So this is round yellow. Here capital R, small y, small y. So this is round green. Small r, capital Y, small y. So this is wrinkled yellow. here small r, small y, this is wrinkled green. So here in the F2 progeny, all the 4 combination of characters appear, and the ratio here is in equal proportion in the ratio 1:1:1:1. Now this is called dihybrid test ratio, and dihybrid test ratio, it is given as 1:1:1:1. That is round yellow and wrinkled green. These two are parental combinations, and round green and wrinkled yellow, these two are new combinations or recombinations. So here parental combination and recombination proportion will be equal. 50-50% of parental combinations and recombinations, and this dihybrid test ratio, that is 1:1:1:1, it is as expected. This is because the 2 pairs of contrasting factors or alleles of F1 offspring during gamete formation, each pair has assorted independent of the other pair. So as a result, we get 4 different types of gametes, and these 4 different types of gametes are being fertilized by only one type of gamete in a test cross. 4 combination of characters have appeared in equal proportion, and this is expected by Mendel, and he got the same result, and hence this is the confirmation for the law of independent assortment. Now here, as far as law of independent assortment is concerned, we have to remember 2 ratios. One, 9:3:3:1, and this is called dihybrid ratio. Another 1:1:1:1, this is called dihybrid test ratio. Now this law of independent assortment, unlike the law of segregation, is not universal. Now I said earlier, the law of segregation of Mendel is fundamental and universal principle that applies to the inheritance of traits or characters in organisms. There is no exception to this law of segregation. But as far as the law of independent assortment is concerned, this is not universal. Law of independent assortment of Mendel, it has restrictions. Now this law, it holds good. It applies only to the genes or factors which are carried on different chromosomes. Genes are factors controlling different characters in organisms, they obey the law of independent assortment when they reside in different chromosomes. In other words, the genes controlling characters in organisms, when they are carried by different chromosomes, they assort independently of one another during gamete formation. That is, they obey the law of independent assortment of Mendel. But this law does not apply to the genes that are carried on the same chromosome. See, at the time of Mendel, no knowledge was available about the chromosomes as well as the genes. Now, Gregor John Mendel, he was totally ignorant. He was totally innocent with regard to the chromosomes and genes. But without the knowledge of chromosomes and genes, Mendel was able to predict and propose these different principles of inheritance. And today, what Mendel said, it is found to be true. And I said, Mendel is a genius. Now, the genes that are carried on the same chromosome, today, they are called linked genes. Phenomenon is called linkage. And the genes that are carried on the same chromosome, they show linkage. And as the chromosomes are the vehicles for genes, wherever the chromosomes move during inheritance, it carries a complete set of genes. Hence, they do not assort independently of one another. But the genes carried on the same chromosome, often they get assorted, linkage breaks, and this is due to a new process of genetics, a new phenomenon here called crossing over. And whenever there is a crossing over, linkage breaks and new combination of genes, what we call a recombination, is possible. And without crossing over, the genes do not assort independent of one another when they are present on the same chromosome. But Mendel, without these details, when he conducted dihybrid crosses, taking two characters as a combination and traced the inheritance of these two characters in a combination, but invariably in all his dihybrid crosses, he could get the same result, that is 9:3:3:1, as well as 1:1:1:1. Why Gregor John Mendel in all these dihybrid crosses got the same result? And that has made him to postulate, that has made him to propose this law of independent assortment. But this law of independent assortment, Mendel was able to frame, did not get any exception here, because the reason for Mendel getting the same result in all his dihybrid crosses and made him to propose this law of independent assortment, the reason here is the 7 genes that are being studied by Mendel in his crossbreeding experiments in the garden pea plant. Some of these genes, they were carried by different chromosomes, and some of these genes, even though they are present on the same chromosome, but they have assorted during gamete formation due to crossing over and recombination resulted, and Mendel was able to obtain in the F2 progeny in all his dihybrid crosses, apart from parental combinations, he got the new combinations or recombinations. But this law of independent assortment of Mendel, unlike the law of segregation, it is not universal. It has restrictions. That is, this law holds good only to the genes that are carried on different chromosomes, and this does not apply to the genes that are carried on the same chromosome. So that is about the principle of Mendel or laws of Mendel. Now next year we have some exceptions to the laws of Mendel or principles of Mendel. So some knowledge, some details about deviations from Mendel's principles or Mendel's laws, or exception to Mendel's laws. With the progress of genetics after Mendel, often called post-Mendelian development. So with the progress of genetics after Mendel, often described as post-Mendelian development, geneticists discovered some instances which stand as exception to Mendel's laws, deviations from Mendel's principles. Now, Gregor John Mendel, in his experiments on garden pea plant, in all the 7 characters that he has studied, the F1 offsprings possessed only one out of a pair of contrasting characters. And he said this character as a dominant character, and the other one which did not appear in F1 progeny is called a recessive character. So in all the 7 pairs of contrasting characters that he has studied in garden pea plant, in each pair one character is dominant and the other is the recessive. But this dominant and recessive relationship between a pair of contrasting characters, this has not been found. In certain experiments conducted during the post-Mendelian period, some inheritances, they became exception to Mendel's principles, particularly exception to the law of dominance. Now, this law of dominance postulated by Mendel, it is not found in all instances of inheritance of traits. Now, geneticists have conducted experiments on several plants and animals, but in some instances, they could able to discover that there is no dominance and recessive relationship in a pair of contrasting characters. Now, let me give two examples here which stand as exception to the law of dominance of Mendel. Now, one example here is incomplete dominance. Another exception to principle of dominance is codominance. Now, today, let me first explain about incomplete dominance. Now, incomplete dominance is also called partial dominance. Incomplete dominance is also called partial dominance. And some say the inheritance here as blending inheritance. Now, what is incomplete dominance or partial dominance? The incomplete dominance or partial dominance is a phenomenon where neither of a pair of contrasting factors or alleles is completely dominant or recessive, and the expression of the trait in F1 offspring, F1 individual is intermediate or a fine mixture of the expressions of the two characters or two factors. Now, let me repeat. If the question is what is incomplete dominance or what is partial dominance, then what should be your response? What should be your answer here? Incomplete dominance is a phenomenon where neither of a pair of contrasting factors or alleles is completely dominant or recessive, and the expression of a trait or a character in a F1 or hybrid offspring is intermediate or a fine mixture of the expressions of the two factors. Now, this will be more clear if I explain this incomplete dominance or partial dominance with a suitable example. Now, the best example to illustrate incomplete dominance is the inheritance of flower color in two varieties of plants. Now one plant here is snapdragon. The botanical name of this plant, snapdragon, is Antirrhinum majus. This is the botanical name of this plant, snapdragon. The another plant here is 4 o'clock plant. 4 o'clock plant. The botanical name of this plant, 4 o'clock plant, is Mirabilis jalpa. Now these are the two plants where the inheritance of flower color is a very good example for incomplete dominance or partial dominance. Now in these two plants, the flower color is either red or white. Red flower and white flower. So these are the two flower colors. Both are pure breeders. Both are pure breeders. Both are true breeders. Now when a red flowered flower producing plant is crossed with a white flower producing plant, the F1 generation produced here produces the flower color which is neither completely red nor completely white, as we have seen in the Mendel's work. Here the flower color is intermediate between red and white. It is via media between red and white. It is a mixture of red and white, that is pink color. So all the F1 plants produced here possess pink colored flowers, and such F1 progeny producing pink flower color via media between red and white flower color, this pink flower color produced by the F1 progeny, it is not because of any independent gene or factor for pink flower, but the pink flower color, it is because of neither the red nor the white is completely dominant or recessive, but the expression of these two factors, the factor that is responsible for red flower and factor responsible for white flower, when they are being brought together in the F1 progeny, the expression of these two is via media between the expression of these two factors. So ultimately the flower color in the F1 progeny, it will be neither purely red nor it will be purely white, but it is a clear mixture of red and white, that is pink. Now such F1 plants producing pink flower, when they are selfed, when they are crossed among themselves, producing F2 generation, and the F2 generation plants, they carried all the three types of the flowers. Some of them possess red flower, some with pink flower and some with white flower. And here these three flower colors, red, pink and white, they have segregated in the ratio 1:2:1. So this is the ratio of F2 progeny with regard to the flower color in these two plants. And in this experiment, in this cross, the F2 progeny carried the phenotypic and genotypic ratios same. Now, we shall diagram this cross. Now here cross is between red flower producing plant and white flower producing plant. So these two are parents that is, they constitute parental generation. I said both of them are pure breeders or true breeders. Hence, this is the genotype of this plant. So here capital R is the factor for red flower, and this is the genotype of this plant. Here small r is a factor that forms a pair with this. So capital R and small r, they form a pair of contrasting factors or alleles controlling this character, flower color. Now this is one plant, this is another plant, both are true breeders, and when these two are crossed, they produce F1 progeny, F1 plants. Now this plant produces the gametes with one of the factors, that is with capital R, and this produces the gametes with one of the factors, that is small r. So these are the gametes of these two plants. Now when these gametes fuse at fertilization, producing F1 progeny, and this F1 progeny has the genotype capital R, small r. Now this is heterozygous. Now all the F1 plants are heterozygous. They have a pair of contrasting characters, that is capital R, small r. Now what is the phenotype? What is the flower color of these F1 plants? Is it purely red color or is it purely white color? No. But here the flower color of the F1 progeny, it is via media between red and white. It is intermediate between red and white. It is a fine mixture of red and white, that is pink. Now here the pink flower color, it is not because of any new gene or a new factor here, but the pink flower color, it is the intermediate flower color between red and white, between the expressions of these two factors. expression of one factor is red flower, the expression of the other factor is white flower, and when both of them are present together, then the expression will be a clear mixture of the expression of these two factors, and hence here the flower color of the F1 progeny, it will be pink. So here the relation between capital R and small r, a pair of factors for flower color, the relation between these two is not dominant and recessive. Neither capital R nor small r is completely dominant or recessive, but here the relation between these two is partial dominance or incomplete dominance, and because of this the flower color is neither totally, completely or purely red, nor it is purely white, but it is a clear blend of these two, mix of these two. The mix of red and white is pink. And when these F1 individuals are selfed, when they are crossed among themselves, one plant produces two different types of gametes. Half of the gametes will be with capital R and the other half will be with small r. The another plant will produce similarly two different types of gametes, half with small r, capital R and small r. Say these are male gametes and these are female gametes, and when these gametes fuse at fertilization, they produce a next generation of plants, and this is the F2 generation. Now, how is the nature of F2 progeny here? What are the phenotypes and genotypes, and what is the ratio? Now, when these two fuse capital R, here the flower color is red, and capital R and small r, here the flower color is like the F1 plants, that is pink. Now, when these two fuse small r, capital R, again the flower color is pink, and when these two undergo fertilization, small r, the flower color will be white. So here F2 progeny comprised the plants producing all the three types of flower color: red color, pink color and white color. Now here, what is the ratio of the F2 offsprings with respect to the flower color? So here the ratio is 1 red is to 2 pink is to 1 white. So red, pink, red, pink and white appeared in the ratio 1:2:1. So 1 red is to 2 pink is to 1 white. So this is 1:2:1. Now this is based on the phenotype. So this is called phenotypic ratio. This is called a phenotypic ratio. Then what is the genotypic ratio? Now here the genotypic ratio is again 1 homozygous red is to 2 heterozygous pink is to 1 homozygous white. So with regard to the genotype, One is homozygous red. So this is one homozygous red is to two heterozygous. These two are heterozygous pink individuals is to one homozygous white. So one homozygous red is to two heterozygous pink is to one homozygous white. Again here the ratio is 1:2:1. So this is genotypic ratio. You observe here both the phenotypic ratio and genotypic ratio, they are same. So both the phenotypic ratio and genotypic ratio are identical, that is 1:2:1. So this is very amazing. But if you compare this one with the monohybrid crossbreeding experiments of Mendel, there in the F2 progeny, the ratio of individuals that have appeared, they differ with regard to the phenotype as well as genotype. So there we have seen, we have studied in a monohybrid cross, in a monohybrid ratio, 3:1 is the phenotypic ratio, 1:2:1 is the genotypic ratio. So there in the monohybrid cross, the monohybrid ratio, which includes both the phenotypic ratio and genotypic ratio, there they are different. But here, this again a monohybrid cross, a single character difference and inheritance. Here in the F2 progeny, the monohybrid ratio that we get here the phenotypic ratio and genotypic ratio, they are not different, but both are same, 1:2:1. So here what we have, remember what we have to notice here is, whenever the monohybrid ratio has both phenotypic ratio as well as genotypic ratio same, 1:2:1, then the inheritance of that trait or that character is said to be incomplete inheritance or blending inheritance, and the character is called incomplete. The relationship between this pair of factors is said to be incomplete dominance or partial dominance. So this is an account on what is called incomplete dominance or partial dominance, and this incomplete dominance or partial dominance stands as a very good example for exception to Mendel's principle of dominance or deviation from Mendel's principle of dominance.